in my own practice, came across some sort of affirmations that just really resonated with me, and so I thought I would just share those with you today. If you are new here, my name is Sharon. I am a meditation guide, self-care coach, and a soon-to-be certified hypnotist. And this month in particular, we've been focusing on awareness and connection. If you want to feel more connected to your life, offer it your awareness. If you want to feel more connected to your partner, offer them your awareness. That meditation really teaches us how to direct our awareness, how to be more aware of the present moment, connect to the present moment, connect to our lives. And through that simple idea of like feeling connected to this grand, whatever the heck this life thing is, that feeling connected to that and learning how to bring my awareness to the marvelousness of all the bizarre thing that is life, that I can find some meaning and purpose just by being with that. And so when I came across these, I'm calling them affirmations. When I came across them, they resonated because this is what I think that connection heals. Okay, so let me just read them to you. She says, "I forgive myself for buying into the idea that I am separate or disconnected." So when you find yourself in any sort of conflict, any sort of tension, saying this to yourself, I forgive myself for buying into the idea that I am separate or disconnected, right? Sometimes we feel really misunderstood and we buy into this idea that I'm separate or disconnected from the world, there's me and me starts and stops at my skin, and then there's a world outside of me. But the thing is, you don't live in a vacuum. There is no you, just you. There's you and the entire world, and you have a symbiotic relationship with that. And that connectedness for me brings me a great deal of peace, believing that I am connected in this bigger picture. So she goes on to say, I forgive myself for judging my experience as less than. How often do we do that, right? My experience as less than, right? We start to critique our own experience. Oh, it's lacking this, or if I only had this, or I shouldn't feel this way, or my life shouldn't be this way, or what if it was this way, right? We create these stories in our mind, these what ifs, these could haves, these should haves, right? And these are all our thoughts, because the reality is that what is real is only right here and now. And these should have, could have, would have type ideas, type thoughts, judging your experience as less than. When, what do you have to compare it to? She goes on to say, I forgive myself for ever believing that my experience or being is offensive to someone else. This one really resonated with me. I had this silly interaction with somebody going into my yoga class where I don't know why she stopped in the middle of the road, and I was like running late, and so I was trying to park to get into the hot yoga, and so she parked in the middle of the street, and I was like, what do I do? Do I go around? Do I go, and so I just like gave her a wave and went around, and this really made her angry. When I sat in my car, I was personally hurt by this. I don't know why, because we're humans, right? And we crave that social interaction and that connection, right? And I was like so angry at her for being mad at me because a small part of me felt like my being was offensive to her for no reason at all. And that was personal, And so I found this affirmation popping into my head. And I was like, oh, you know what? Her experience is not less than. Her perceived reality is not less than mine. I don't know what she perceived, and I can't make an attempt to try to. I don't know. I can't read minds. So I honor her experience and our misunderstanding by acknowledging that my being is not offensive. And if she perceived it that way, that is her own reality that also has its own value. She's on her own journey. I'm on my own journey. And we, in some ways, are connected, right? Because she gave me this little lesson I gave her, and we're sharing the same air and the same bizarre life experience, right? So there's a little bit of peace in that, too. So she goes on to say, and these are just real juicy for me. I hope they resonate with you the way that they do with me. She goes on to say, I forgive myself for feeling or believing that I am not worthy. We talked about this a lot this month, that I am not worthy, right? Voila, here you are in this magical life thing. What a bizarre thing it is, and nobody really knows the answers. And if they're pretending that they do, they're probably trying to get you to buy something. You get to decide that you are worthy because you are here. Who gets to decide that criteria for you? Somewhere down the line, unfortunately, somebody told you that you had to perform to be worthy, that you had to be a certain way, that you had to do certain things to be worthy. And this was a lie handed down to you from a people who had not healed themselves. You are worthy because you are here, and that if you can sit with your own being and acknowledge that your worth is innate, that your presence is powerful and meaningful, your very presence, bringing your awareness to this experience has a little bit of meaning. If you can add meaning to that, you can decide to do that for your own self, right? Then that probably would feel kind of good. So why not? Why choose not to feel that way? That is a choice. It takes practice, obviously, to decondition ourselves. Decondition, uncondition, words. You see what I mean, though? It takes practice to undo those voices that told you that you had to perform to be worthy. Sure, absolutely. But if you can start to understand that dialogue in your mind, then you can always come back to, even if you don't feel it to be true at first, you at least will know it to be true. And the more you tell yourself that in your head on a conscious level, even if it doesn't feel real, the more it will settle into your subconscious. And eventually, over time, you will understand your worth because of your extreme connectedness in ways that you don't need to intellectualize. You can't. So don't. So just choose. So she goes on to say, I forgive myself for viewing my experience as incomplete or lacking. We start to feel that our experience is incomplete when we buy into the story that you have to perform or be a certain way, right? That you're not worthy. We start to buy into the idea that your experience is incomplete or lacking when you start to make up ideas about how your life should be in the future or what your life should have been in the past. Those are just thoughts. Right? All the things in your past that you overanalyze, repeating those scenarios as small as little conversations that you repeat in your head, or as big as remembering traumas, those are all not here. They're not, show me where they are. All up here, right? So I forgive myself for choosing to replay this in a way that is incomplete or lacking. So too for the future. I can make up all these ideas about, if only I had this in my life. Okay, in the future, if I do this, if I do that, if I do this, right? If I perform in a certain way, right, then I will be worthy. Then my experience will be complete. And it's like, no, all of this future stuff too, where does that exist? It's all up here. So if I get to create this past world in my mind, right? Obviously, your memories are what they are, but you layer your own perspective on top of them. And I certainly get to choose what I imagine for myself in the future with practice, right? Because I have to learn how to control my awareness. But if I can practice viewing that as complete, right? Because the thing that is real is here and now. And if I bring my awareness to the here and now and what is, I notice the deep interconnection, the deep interbeing that we all have. when I bring my awareness to the present moment. I find meaning in my life, in the here and now, just through my own being. Because it might be the most phenomenal thing that has happened to you, your own being. I can't think of anything more phenomenal than your own birth. So before I get too heady and carry you all away, why don't we settle in to a meditative seat, and I'll guide you into our meditation.